Burn that damn Super Bowl!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon as we have a Freedom Friday ahead, as we're going to talk about all the things in the sports world that are going on. Of course, we'll get into some of the topics that you want to discuss with a little vibe check of the chat. We'll get into some summer topics, which are always been a little bit fun here in the dog days of summer, presented by our friends at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. And, of course, we'll do some best and worst of the week presented by our friends at Looper Auction and Realty. But, guys, it's Friday. It's the weekend. How are the vibes and how are we feeling? What are we going to talk about today? I don't know. We're going to have to figure something out.
As a wise man once said, there is no pint in the world like the one you've earned on a Friday. You know what I'm saying? Cold, golden, full of pride after a week of hard graft. I can't wait. We're almost there, boys. We're almost there.
Have we parked up our vans? Have we locked up our warehouses yet? Is it officially the weekend? It is Friday. I don't know if, our job is a little bit weird. I don't know if the people in the chat, they haven't quite made it to the weekend, so I don't want to flex too much, but we're pretty much there, though. It is the weekend. Weekends in the summer hit different, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, they do. Because I don't know if people understand this, but, football season, basketball season, baseball season, guess whose weekends are pretty busy? Ours. So like they're busy, but that's okay. That's part of the gig. We love it. But it is nice in summertime to kind of have that, man. I don't have to travel over there to wherever and watch games and then do breakdowns, post games and all that stuff. It's kind of nice to have a little bit of our own little vacation. We're like teachers, right? Just getting the whole summer off. Not really, but still, we try to at least do our best. But that's what makes it fun. Yeah, that's what makes it fun is we get creative. We still come on here in the show, still do Pot at the Palace, still do Bombastic, still doing our thing. But we appreciate everybody listening in and tuning in and having some fun with us here on Inside Arkansas Live. So we're going to have a lot of things to get to today. Obviously, we're going to react to some of the things that was said yesterday by Remy Cofield, the new GM of Arkansas, in his press conference that happened. A lot of things that we're going to discuss from that. We'll also talk about Adu Thero finally getting drafted into the NBA, which is really cool, as well as some other good basketball stuff. But fellas, I feel like we got to start today and talking about what has been going on within the walls of the administration at the University of Arkansas in the athletic department. For those you may not have known or have read the article this morning made by Tom Murphy, he had a chance to chat with Hunter Yurachek, and there have been some pretty significant changes and reduction of staff and retirements, or as some would say, layoffs and cutting people. It is pretty much what has actually been going on. Some of the names, they weren't mentioned in the article, but some of the names have come out. Some of them are still up there in the air, but I know we'll get into the details of it. But I want to get to y'all's thoughts, your initial reaction when reading this article and hearing from Yurachek and kind of the whole encompassing thing of what's going on with the finances, especially of the University of Arkansas Athletic Department. What was your reaction to all the things that Yurachek had to say?
Disappointment. I feel bad for all the people who were affected by it. I've gone through that, like this exact thing before. Now this is at an NAIA college during the middle of COVID and not, an SEC athletic department in 2025 is a little bit different, but that sucks, man. It's really tough. Like I've had to sit in a room with an athletic director and, another department head in my division and literally determine which of my friends could stay and who had to go. And that's brutal, man. And I've sat in a room and had the president of a university join us via Zoom and terminate, 20 people immediately. Like it just sucks. And it turns your life upside down. It's one of the unfortunate sides of business. And, so I feel terrible for all the people who are impacted because by and large, as far as I can tell, and Hunter even said this in the article, nobody was let go, in poor standing. Like nobody was fired because of performance or whatever. And we could argue maybe they should have been, who the hell knows? But that's a tough situation. It impacts families. So I hate that. But as far as the news itself, guys, I'm not surprised. We knew this was coming. We just didn't know exactly what it was going to look like. During the Razorback Road show, I think Hutch had a story, last month about part of trying to figure out this revenue share was that they were going to be making some sacrifices and some internal cuts. And, I'm sure that happened with some budgetary stuff and things like that, but it also happened with some salaries and some benefits. And, that's the tough part of it. So, I hate it for the people. I'm not necessarily surprised that that happened because I saw it coming. And then the last part is, I think it just goes to show, this isn't necessarily a unique to Arkansas thing. Everybody's dealing with this new reality, but you wonder how effectively they've dealt with it, because this seems to be maybe hitting Arkansas a little bit harder than some of these other places. And it makes you wonder if they were once again kind of caught being a little bit late and a little reactionary compared to being proactive and getting ready for this revenue share world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that, when you ask my reaction, the human side of it is, there's people that we know, there's a lot of, like Hunter said, good people who have been doing a great job and are not being let go due to performance. A lot of lives impacted, and that hits home because obviously we live in Fayetteville. We know these people. So that sucks. Also, we understand that this isn't a unique issue to Arkansas, like you said, Curtis. And so we can kind of sympathize with that. I don't think this is as simple as like, hey, Arkansas is firing people. This is one person's fault, or this is something we need to all be mad at one person over. It's a thing that a lot of people have to deal with. It's a thing that a lot of businesses have to deal with. It's not unique to Arkansas, but you touched on it there at the end that, like, there are ways to handle this. And look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the one with all the answers, but when you read other stories, when you hear from other programs and sort of what they've been doing, some of the proactive, forward-thinking ways they've kind of prepared for this, it seems like, once again, NIL is an issue that everyone's dealing with. Revenue sharing is an issue that everyone's dealing with. The whole changing of the landscape in college sports, that's an everyone issue. Everyone in the SEC is dealing with it. But we once again get the feeling that Arkansas might be on the lower end of how they're dealing with it, how they're positioned. And that's all you can really do is compare yourself to your peers. And in this case, like many others, it doesn't seem like Arkansas is in the most firm standing, and that sucks. And again, I'm not sitting here saying it's one person's fault. It's just kind of the combination of a lot of things, but we don't have that clear answer as to why and if that's going to change anytime soon, because 4 or 5 months ago, we were unironically told by people that work at the U of A that, like, revenue sharing was a positive thing that was actually supposed to increase Arkansas's standing in a lot of these conversations. I think we can confirm now that it has not done that, which, again, like you said, it's not surprising, but now we have to kind of be real about the situation of where Arkansas is, how they're going to be able to climb out of this situation that they're in with the athletic department and this issue that we now know has been going on for a while.
Well, and to kind of get everybody to understand just kind of where everything's at, obviously there was some things that have been going on for a while now that we could sense, and everybody could sense, that revenue sharing, it wasn't about, I think, Curtis, you put it greatly a few months ago, or maybe a few weeks ago, whenever it was that we talked about it, but it wasn't about, oh, this is going to just add to our budget and to our abilities. We're trying to get to the point to where we can actually get to the 20.5 million. Yeah. And I remember when that happened, I was like, dude, I don't like that. Like, you're a school that makes a ton of money, and I know you got to spend money, but it just doesn't seem like that was the case. But in this article, it kind of goes through and lists some things. For instance, when Yurchek was talking about it, he said it would affect about 10% of the department's staff. He said, quote, yesterday was one of the toughest in my day of 16 years as an athletic director. He also said that they wanted to stay away from, and they did, the sports and anything with coaching staff. So they didn't cut any coaching staff, no athletic trainers, anything like that. But it was people strictly in the administration. And he also said it's just all part of changes, major changes that are going on in college athletics. And this was the key. The plan was to reduce the salaries and benefits line within the department's operating budget by around $2.5 million. So that kind of tells you what the cuts were going towards, and what their goal was, is with all these cuts, getting $2.5 million from said cuts.
And correct me if I'm wrong, or confirm if you recall, but isn't 2.5 million roughly the amount that they were looking at in the scholarship increase that comes along with this? I think so. And so maybe, that's what they're trying to do there. It sucks, man. And, we were in our group text, I think, John, I know you and I were kind of doing some research and Googling and, checking with some folks just around the SEC to see, like, how are they dealing with this? Are they going through some similar stuff? Like, I know I saw Ole Miss. I think it was Ole Miss that has been doing some 5% decreases. So, half as much. We saw, Auburn has been, kind of incrementally preparing for this by tightening the string since like 2022. So multiple years. And again, like everybody's going through this to a degree, but everybody's also handling it a little bit differently. And you can kind of tell who's equipped and who's prepared for it and maybe who's not. And, for me, I think about it. I hate that they were able to have to get to this point where it's impacting people's lives and you're having to terminate workers and everything like that. But I also think about this and what concerns me more, and maybe I'm missing something here, but this isn't just a one-time deal. Like this is an annual thing that you're going to have to figure out. So how exactly are you going to get there next year and moving forward? And this is not going to be 20.5 million every year. Like it's projected to go up to upwards of 30 million over the course of the next several years here. I just think about like the slobber hog on the court fund and the roundup thing that they're doing and the 3% deal and the Razorback raffle and the Bud Walton Arena reseeding and putting all these renovations on the back burner and now a 10% department cut. And I know they were doing the delayed performance bonuses and cost of living bonuses for folks and up in the donor levels and up in the ticket prices. It's like you're doing all that just to get here for this year. And so like, what does this look like moving forward? So it's, I think there are a lot of questions that are fair to be asked, and we'll see what it winds up looking like. But I know a lot of people were like, damn, Remy's been here for 3 months and he doesn't have a staff yet. Well, do you get it now? I mean, that's why.
Well, no, that was going to be my next thing is like, there's obviously a lot of expenses. We all understand there's a lot of money needed to run an athletic department, and we understand that number is increasing. Like you said, there's random things popping up, scholarship limits, all of the above. So it's not hard for us to figure out why they would need money. But what does concern me is I start thinking about specific things. One, Remy's yesterday asked about the staff, and he's like, yeah, we're worried about quality over quantity. I'm sure we're going to play that clip here in a second where he's like, makes it clear, like, yeah, we want to hire a staff, but clearly there's limitations on what they can do on that front. I also look at this. I don't remember where the graphic was, but it had all the schools in the SEC for the football programs, who all has a director of analytics, who all has a director of scouting, who all has, a scouts and assistant coaches for different specific things that run these numbers, help you run, build your football team. Arkansas is at the bottom of the SEC in that too. So you're cutting people from the athletic department. You're not going to be able to add analysts. You're not going to be able to add people to help you run your football program. You're barely even going to be able to add people to help your GM, who you plucked from the Celtics and kind of threw into this mess here. You aren't even really to supply him with people to help him, and you're cutting people on top of all that. You know what I mean? It's like, it'd be one thing if you're just like, hey, we don't want to spend big in NIL, so that's not what we're going to do. We don't want to pay big money for a head coach, so we have Sam Pittman. We don't want to pay a buyout, so we're keeping Sam Pittman. We don't want to pay for top assistants. All right, that's fine. But it's like, hey, you can't keep cutting on everything. And if you are cutting on everything, then it's like, what really is the goal here?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Curtis, all like the ongoing, or the thing that's it's going to be yearly, is really what's concerning to me. It seems like this is just a Band-Aid on a very short-term thing. Because if they're having trouble now, why wouldn't they have trouble again next year? Especially if there's a coaching change at a major program, which could very well be the case. All these things coming together, but also too, this is the thing that I think is the most bothersome is we've talked about it, but over the past year, essentially, there have just been little crumbs here and there, here and there, here and there that just kept building where we're like, something's off here. What's going on? What's the problem here? And I remember when the whole thing with Sam Pittman, and not to say that 100% should have been fired and it was a dumb decision to keep him on, but just kind of going along with trends and how these major athletic departments work. I felt like just because of the fans and the standing and the NIL, which obviously was lacking, and the players that were leaving, was kind of like, all right, maybe this is time to make a change. But then nothing was said. It wasn't about like, we believe in Sam Pittman. There was just nothing. And then you had all these other things start popping up. You mentioned the slobber hog. And then the raffle thing, which was involved with the legislature, and so much fight for that. And we talked about, well, guys, everybody just know that this is not going towards NIL. This is going towards the whatever they want it to, the athletic department. It just really came together as like, there's some major problems here. And then adding into Yurichek, who had looked for other jobs and tried to leave a year ago or so. And then all the stuff again that continued to come out. But then one of the things that was in this article, and again, shout out to Tom Murphy because this was great, just getting these
Really
quotes and hearing it. But the final quote from Hunter Yurchek really bugs me. He said, quote, "We believe that we can continue to have success like we've had and service our student athletes, our fans, our coaches, just like we have since I arrived. But time will tell." We believe is saying, I'm not wholly confident, but I believe in it. And that we can, not that we will, we can, not full confidence, but in the end saying time will tell. Man, that doesn't really give me a full sense of confidence and hope that this is going to be okay. That gives me a thing of like, hey, we're just doing this and we'll see what happens. That doesn't bode very well for me.
Right. And it might feel like, we're digging through every word here with a fine tooth comb. We are. But, like when you hear some of those cues, like you just mentioned, and you couple it with kind of what's going down here and the links they're having to go to try to reach this number for revenue share. And then you listen to some of the things that Remy Cofield said that I'm sure we'll get into about, having to do this within our pricing means and like still acknowledging the challenges with money and, all this different stuff. While all the while Sam Pittman was saying, God, like, please get us to revenue share because then we'll be able to do this. And so it's here and you're not seeing that confidence inspired. And it sounds like it's here and you're having issues figuring out how to meet that mark. And, it's hard to not be a little bit or a lot of bit concerned about what you hear. So, I mean, we can, I wish I could find a way to spin this super positively. And we're not trying to come across negative. Like I'm just calling it how I see it here. And, there wasn't a whole lot that's happened in the last 24 hours that makes me feel great about where this is headed. Does that mean it's going to wind up being an abject disaster and burn it all down and we're screwed? I don't know about all that, but it didn't inspire a lot of confidence in me personally.
Yeah, and I think the big concern that we have is, and we've talked about this a few times, is when you're in this mode of trying to, work on the budget. And listen, as someone who grew up poor, like I understand it. I sympathize with that, like, that mindset. But really what it forces you to be is very short-sighted. You're not able to really have the conversation of how do we have the best possible football program? How do we have the best possible athletic program as a whole? Because that conversation is on the back burner because you just have to figure out how to get by. And so it kind of forces this mindset for the entire athletic department. It's really hard to grow and blossom and to really compete at the national level and compete with people who are not living in the same circumstances as you when you're in this kind of rut mindset where you're just, like you say, we'll see. We're just going to try and get to this point and then we'll see. We're just going to try to get to revenue sharing and then we'll see. You're never able to really think long term. And again, I come back to 2019, December, when Arkansas hired Sam Pittman. They paid him. When they hired him, he was near the bottom of the SEC in salary. That was a very conscious decision in that moment to, hey, let's just get this cheaper option here and let's just figure it out later. Which, again, that was probably the right move in the moment. That same offseason, Lane Kiffin signed a contract. In his first year at Ole Miss, he made $3.9 million. So they saved $900,000 that one offseason, which seemed like a great idea in the moment. It's like, let's just not take a big swing. Let's just do what we got to do here. And now here we are, like, pinching pennies and trying to figure out how to make this work. It's like, it's kind of stupid in hindsight that you were freaking out over $900,000 when you're talking about all these massive figures and you're looking at Ole Miss, who's not living through all of this. But you were in such a short-minded mindset, you're not able to really think about, hey, how could this, if we do make this purchase here, how's that going to affect our program in the long run? Because you're just trying to get through Saturday. You just got to pay the bills, you know what I mean? And so it's like, that's the big concern. Is it's not like this is a unique situation, but once again, we're reminded of where Arkansas's place is and how they're operating compared to how their peers are operating.
Well, and also, too, it just, to me, has everything, or at least some things, make all the sense in the world now. Why was Arkansas publicly trying to get that money back from Madden when it all went down and basically threatened to go to court over it? Because they need it. They need that money. And that they're trying to get whatever they can to make it happen. I mean, those are just all the things that's been taking place. And if you're like Arkansas, I think I was asking the question months ago, it's like, where's the money going? Like it's you know that you're a major university and a major athletic department in the SEC where you get a lot of money for doing that. So where is it all going? Was it going to maybe some staff members that were too, had too much of a salary or whatever? I don't really know, but it just seems like, especially in the past year, you've done nothing but cut money, spend less money, and try to find ways to get to the point to where you're just getting over the hump. And I just don't feel like any other major programs going through that. I went into my Locked On text group that I'm in with all the SEC hosts, and I just asked them questions. I was like, hey, you guys cover the teams from other SECs. Like, have you guys seen these significant cuts at the programs you're covering? And almost all of them were like, well, yeah, there was this, they had this one thing where tailgating spots went up like $100. Like, okay, was there anything any like firings or laying off? They're like, well, nothing publicly, at least. It's like, okay. So, everybody's different. Everyone's in a different situation, but it just is, again, I just don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about where it's at. And from what I understand is that there was a sort of like Zoom conference or some sort of deal last night with Juracek and some of the donors and boosters and everybody talking about, hey, here's how we're going to lay it out. And here's, because I'm sure when they wanted to get ahead of it with this article coming out, keep people from freaking out, but it's basically like, hey, revenue sharing, here's how it's going to be 70, 20, 10. That's how it's going to be. 70% of it going to football, 20% of it going to basketball, 10% of it going to baseball is what revenue share is going to be lined up. Anything after that is just about NIL deals. And so there's some concern now about those non-revenue generating sports. Are they not going to get any part of the money that is coming in from revenue sharing? And at least from what the understanding is from some of those donors, they're not. And they're just going to have to rely on NIL deals that have to go through the clearinghouse and everything. So, is it right? Is it wrong? Whatever it is, but they're trying to just get everybody, especially those who are involved in these day-to-day things, all set in a place of like, this is what we got to get ready for. But it's just a matter of all the things that have happened here recently over the past year. It's hard for some of these people. Now, these are boosters I've talked to. It's hard for some of these boosters to really feel confident to be like, everything's okay and they got a hold on this. It's concerning just because of the public perception of it.
Yeah, I mean, the public perception of it's not great. So I I would agree with that. My question would be, and I'm sure they have a plan, or they feel like they've got a handle on it or whatever. Or at least I certainly hope they do. It kind of goes back, if that's the case, then it goes back to the messaging, which we talk about all the time, which is maybe our biggest source of critique in how they go about doing these things. But I tend to think it might be deeper than that in this case. I just wonder how do you get past this?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get to the point where you want to be? How do you get to the point where this isn't a conference? Because it's not going away. And in fact, your commitment in terms of revenue share is going to continue to go up on an annual basis. And what is it going to take? What needs to happen for them to get on the right side of this? Like, do you need the type of change that's going to spur these donors or boosters who aren't making those big donations that some of these other schools are, and that's helping the cause? Like, do you need that in order for them to, go ahead and pull the trigger and make these moves? What's it going to look like? What's the sales pitch need to change to? What needs to happen? Because right now it seems like they're, in a position where it, at least on the surface, it looks like they're having to dig under the couch cushions to find the change to make sure they can get to this number just for this year. And that makes me uncomfortable. It does.
And it's a very valid question considering, and I know that football season, people think of it as a 6-6 season. So you're like, oh, well, they'll have much better football seasons, of course, one of these days. From an attendance standpoint, not really. I mean, the place, they sold a lot of tickets during football season. Basketball, the entire arena has been sold out the entire year. Baseball, the entire venue sold out the whole year. So it's like, realistically, like, are you ever going to have a situation where your costs are lower because you're not paying your head coach in football a ton of money, you're not paying the staff a ton of money, not paying the players a ton of money, and you had maximum attendance. You had pretty much close to the best attendance you've ever had. So when are the circumstances, like you're saying, Curtis, when are the circumstances going to be better, where your profit margins are going to be higher? And by the way, it sucks that we have to view it through such a return on investment way, but that's just the way we have to view it. And so when you break down the distribution of money, John, it makes sense because those are the three sports that make money. And so it's like, we kind of have to view this through an ROI type of lens. But it is a fair question, Curtis, because it's like, I'm not saying that Arkansas is the best athletic year they've ever had, but I don't know how the circumstances are going to be more ideal in the future because you didn't have to fire any coaches. You didn't have to hire any coaches. You had great attendance. You didn't spend a ton on your roster. I don't know when the circumstances would be better. So for you to be having this bad of a fiscal offseason is weird considering that the season didn't cost that much money.
Yeah, and also real quick, because I know we'll get into some other things too, but I'm curious. I guess the only coach that they did hire in the program was Kelly Music, the new women's basketball coach. But maybe I'm not totally clear on this, but didn't Mike Neighbors take a reduced buyout for when what he was originally owed, like a 50%? I could be wrong about that. So maybe that was something that, because who knows? Maybe if he was refusing to do that, he may still be the coach, type of deal instead of having to pay the buyout. I don't know, but the point is that they need money. They're trying to do whatever they can to get to that point of being fine with the money, but it's still just a lot of people not totally sure. It seems like everything else is just increased and cuts have been made, but you just still feel like you're so far away. We talk about coaches and football and all that, and this goes a lot deeper than anything like that. I mean, it's one thing if it's not winning football games, but if you don't even have any money to do anything, then it's a much, much, much bigger problem than anybody can even understand.
Man, I completely understand the whole cost of doing business thing, that I get, and trimming some budgets and raising some prices. Like that's part of the deal. It's just sucks, man, that it came to the point where people had to lose their jobs. And so really it tells you one of two things, I guess. Like one, they are just really down bad and they didn't have a choice. Or two, they just, had a bunch of people over there they didn't need. You know what I mean? Like they were already paying out way too much and maybe weren't getting that bang for their buck. Or maybe it's a combination of the two. I don't know. But like when jobs start getting cut and, families start getting impacted and stuff, that's where I go from just being frustrated about a situation to like legitimately feeling bad. Like it upsets me.
Yeah, that is an interesting way to look at it, where it's like, so what happens if things are just flawless now? Does that mean that you just had a bunch of employees that you did not need to be paying? It's like, oh, damn, we probably could have been allocating funds better. Like, I wonder if like this is the first time they've had to look inward. But again, Curtis, we look at these other teams that have been doing this for years, that have been secretly like that article that had Auburn going back to 2022 is like finding ways around it. It's not just an all at once, holy cow, we got to wipe out 10% of the department. It's kind of constantly knowing, hey, we're building towards something. We need to set money aside any way we can. And we know the U of A has been trying to cut budgets in some ways, but it is crazy that now we're about to just find out whether or not, hey, we just had a bunch of employees that we did not need. And because now we're just crushing it. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be that simple.
Yeah. Also, how much did they make on those two? They only did 2 raffles, right? So what they make, like 200,000, 250,000, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, I think for the first one was like 150. Between each person get 150, and then I think it was like 90K for the other.
Okay, yeah, just throwing it out there. I don't want to be pocket watching, but also, your chick's like the 4th highest paid athletic director in the country. So I don't know. Maybe he took a pay cut too. Maybe that happened. So either way, it's pretty crazy right now. And we'll get to your chats because I know a lot of people have questions. And I'm going to be honest about this. Like, if there's something that we don't know, and if you guys ask about, then we're going to say we don't know. Like, we don't want to just assume things, and we don't know all the details. We don't know all the ins and outs. We know what we know, and we know what we've been hearing, but there's still, the athletic department and being an athletic director is so far above my head. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's people, it goes back to the whole thing of being like, just throw Houston Nutt, made him be the AD. It's like, why? Just because he can talk well? Like, there's so much more involved with running these things. So, we're not sitting here saying we have every single answer, but we try to be real about what we know and what we talk about. And that was one of the things why, as part of today's Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends at Alumni Hall, go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall and use that promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. Get all the great Razorback apparel you could possibly want, especially for the summertime. All the high-end things for men, women, and kids, the shirts, the hats, the jerseys, all that great stuff. It's the best store when it comes to all things Razorback apparel and decor. It's Alumni Hall. Check them out today, HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. Just how confident are you in the future of Razorback athletics to where it stands right now? Are you very confident, somewhat unconfident, or very unconfident? And as of right now, guys, this is why I put these polls out, because I'm always curious if maybe the responses aren't the same as the voting. But right now, 38% say somewhat confident. 33.5% say somewhat unconfident, 17.5% say very unconfident, and only 10% say very confident. So kind of give you a barometer of where some of the fans are at.
Okay.
I think I would be in I would probably lean. You said somewhat unconfident was the leader here.
No, somewhat confident is the leader.
Somewhat confident is the leader. I mean, listen, there's a lot of really good people that I trust that are in high-ranking positions at the University of Arkansas. John Calipari is one of those guys. Dave Van Horn is one of those guys, and they, so I have a lot of confidence in them to, I don't think the floor is very low for Arkansas athletics because of those two men and the programs they have going. So I don't know if I would say I'm like the future of Razorback athletics I'm that concerned about. But I do think that there's a ceiling to what they can really achieve football-wise, given the current setup they have and what they're attempting to do here. Like, I don't see the path to Arkansas going from a middle-of-the-road SEC program to anything above that, like to really taking that next step and being a top half of the league football program. So I'll go right in the middle there. What's right in between somewhat unconfident and somewhat confident?
Probably just neutral. Like, could go either way, one way or the other.
I'm just. We'll see what happens, guy.
Yeah. Time will tell is what
Real man Dan.
Yeah, time will tell is what it's at. But no, I just was finding it fascinating because again, it's a matter of whether they do 11th in the Directors Cup, which would you care about it or not? That's whatever. But there is just some success, a lot of success that's going on within the athletic program. It's just a matter of is it going in the right direction of the certain things that people really care about, the money and the big dogs like football, like where is it at right there? And then of course the financial thing that's coming out. But yeah, just interesting to see where the fans lie and what they think is going on. And the fact that they're really somewhat confident may have been a little bit of a surprise to me, but either way. All right. So I know we'll get to your questions. Get to your chat, folks, as presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can visit them today at basishealth.org today. So let's go ahead and get to some of your chats and talking about it. Let's see. We got a super chat from our guy Hayden Ulmer. Appreciate you. Goes, my $18 a week and roundups to only baseball will get us over this hump. So yep, let's hope so, Hayden. Let's hope so. They I know they appreciate it. It'll get them where they need to be. Let's see. Also, T Razorback says, if y'all had to guess percentage of rev share to each sport, what would it be? What would you guess? And if you could choose, how would you allocate it? Well, I guess the guess was just what we talked about, the 70-20-10 model. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of fair to as far as what I would allocate it for if I was running the athletic department, because football is the main moneymaker, but it's also more expensive and everything. So
I think so. And it tracks too with just kind of like what the estimated averages for most SEC programs would wind up being. So I think you kind of
have to do what everyone else does here.
Yeah.
Curtis, if you could change the pie chart and nobody would know it was you, nobody would know for sure that it happened. It would be no way to trace it back to you. If you could change the pie chart and allocate money, what would you just give basketball like a $28 million budget?
No, I mean, I'd maybe give them 25% instead of 20 or something, you know what I mean? But it wouldn't be anything crazy. Football needs it, man. They've got a bigger roster and a bigger hurdle to overcome. And I trust Cal and basketball's ability to get those external NIL deals and do the other things you need to do, and his track record to get really good players on his roster and win at a high level. So I'm kind of okay with where it's at. I'd be anxious to see, how other people feel about that. I used on the Pot at the Palace the example of, how that might be kind of the average or what people are expecting to do, but it could be different based on schools because they have their own, ways about doing these things. But like Georgia, for example, they might want to give more of that percentage to football because they don't give a damn about basketball. Are they even making money off of basketball? You know what I mean? And Kentucky, on the other hand, that might be a school that would want to give, I'm not saying a larger percentage to basketball than they would football, but maybe a little bit closer, maybe more than that 20% marker. So it'll vary from sport to sport based on needs and probably based on year. But going into this thing, I think it makes sense. And I I wouldn't get too crazy with it.
Charles Davalon would be telling the Philadelphia Phillies to kick rocks if I were in charge of the funds. I'm just going to tell you right now. He'd get drafted like 38th overall, and he'd be like, actually, nah, I'm good.
Well, I was thinking too, like Kansas is definitely one of those teams. They're like, no, we'll just all give basketball 100%.
Oh, their football program's low key cooking.
Yeah, but even then, like, still don't care. It's like, yeah, they'll just do whatever they can for that.
And by the way, so 70% that'd be between 14 and 15 million just in revenue share, just for football. And I imagine we're going to talk about some of this Remy stuff in a minute, but when I hear that, just revenue share alone is significantly more money than you've been spending on your roster the last couple of years. And so that's not even counting any NIL stuff they can get on top of that. So that's kind of why I was taken aback a little bit by the approach. Not that a lot of the things he said, I was just like, oh, this is wrong, or this is terrible, or whatever. But I just kind of thought, because of that, and because of the way Sam Pittman talked about revenue share and how it would impact things and even the playing field, that he would very much be like, oh, hey, financial, hey, money's there. Not the money's the money. Like, the money's there. Now we're good on that front now, man. So don't worry about that part of it. Now worry about why I can sell you on Arkansas. Like, he could have spun it that way and I'd feel better about it. But doing the whole, it just kind of still gave off the very much balling on a budget type of vibes. And I'm like, really? So that's kind of what left me with a raised brow.
Yeah. And we will talk about that because we do have some clips from that were pretty interesting, to say the least. Appreciate that super chat from Hog J. Says, thank you guys for giving us the truth, not the Hill propaganda. Well, you're welcome. And I laugh at all of this because, I don't think what we do is anything like unique or crazy. And I don't know why. It's just sad that maybe people think that because we just see what we see and we talk about it. We don't try to have any sort of narrative or anything like that.
And we're legitimately just reacting to really good reporting from Tom Murphy and direct quotes from Hunter Yurachek. I mean, they did all these things, and we know why they did it, and we're just kind of reacting to it happening, and why we think it happened.
And Tom certainly didn't partake in any propaganda. He just laid out exactly. He's like, hey, this is exactly what is happening.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying anything else. This is just it. This is what's happening. And I think that's what we're doing too. It's just like, oh, wow, this is what was said. Here's what we think about it. I think most people just don't really talk about it.
Yeah. And also too, I think, not taking anything away from Tom at all or anything, but it's probably one of those things that Yurachek.
Go ahead. Take as much away from Tom as you can.
Well, just saying, like, probably Yurachek just hit up Tom and say, hey, Tom, you want to do an interview with me? It's like, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Like, it's kind of one of those things where he's wanting the message to get out. So he did it through Tom, which works out. Let's see. Also too, this comes from our guy Kingsley, which, by the way, I guess YouTube is just making everyone's usernames on here instead of their actual names. So it may take a little bit.
It threw me off a little bit too.
Yeah, I don't really know. So we may just go by your usernames for today. But he says, as a program and university, boosters and donations aside, why do we expect the U of A to just have the money? As a state, we're towards the bottom of the nation, let alone the SEC. Well, at least to me, it's not just simply of, oh, Arkansas should have the money just because. It's like you are still in like where you it's about comparison, and you compare them to other places and other schools, like in Mississippi, like Mississippi State and Ole Miss don't seem to be having the same issues that you do. And they're in a very poor state as well with two different schools that it's gone through with SEC. So it's a matter of the amount of money that you make just by being a member of the SEC, and also knowing that you are the only game in town and you are the biggest deal, and that you needed to be ready for this stuff and you weren't, or at least that's the way it's coming across. So I just look at it as it's not simply money because they just should have money. It's about, well, how come all these other schools who are in similar situations, or in some cases maybe even worse, they don't seem to have this problem? That's what my problem comes along with.
Yeah, I mean, they filled out the stadium. They filled out the stadium every week. They didn't pay any of the coaches. They didn't pay any of the players. Like, where, like, you compare it to, like, there's those Mississippi schools don't have a 70,000 seat stadium, and they're splitting it with each other. Like, it just makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And I think people forget sometimes when we start talking about, like revenue share and everything like that, it's not that they had to come up with 20.5 million necessarily. It's not that all these schools had to do that. Like you said, John, you get a revenue chunk from the SEC for being in the league and for everything that comes through that with TV rights and everything else. That's a big part of it. Now we know that money went towards all of their operating costs, and everything else. And there wasn't that much left over. And so they've been trying to fill that gap and fill that void with all these other things that they've been doing that a lot of them they're not going to be able to do every year.
When everything's paused too, right? Like
everything's,
yeah.
And also too, to add to that, from just the outsider perspective, it would also be a little bit different if they had, before all this started, they went through a bunch of Bud Walton renovations, and I'm like, okay, well, that's probably taking a huge chunk of this money and everything. But from the outside, you're like, okay, so where is the money? You've raised prices on everything. You've had to raise donation levels on everything. You have raised tailgating spots. You've raised parking. You've raised money all over the place. You've made cuts. You refuse to change anything because of if it costs so money. So it's like there's no new facilities. There's no anything like that. So I think people are just like, okay, so where did it go? Was that how much these people are getting paid, or was it spent on something that you shouldn't have? Like, that's just where the questions comes into play of like, no one really knows or can see something physical of like, okay, this is where the money's going. And I think if there was something like that, it would make a little bit more sense, but there's just not right now.
And to Curtis's point earlier, like, what is it that's exactly going to change that's going to make this situation not this way next summer? Like, what are we going to do in the next 12 months that makes us not in this exact same shoe here? In reality, there's a lot better chance you're looking at a very big change in December that is going to cost a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the other part of that too is, and it would have to involve Hunter Yurchek, having a presser or Q&A or whatever, or whoever, like if Tom gets another interview or whatever, like someone asking that question, like, hey, you're having to do all this to scrape by this year. Well, what's the plan here moving forward? Maybe they have one. Maybe he'd share those details. I don't know. But right now we're just kind of left to wonder.
Yeah. And when you're left to wonder, you start trying to connect dots and trying to put things together and trying to figure some things out and everything. So, but what's kind of crazy, guys, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. The last time that Hunter Yurchek did a press conference of any sort was when John Calipari got hired. And before that was when he did a State of the Union address 3 years ago where he had media on a Zoom. So if you just kind of wondered, like, if there's a press conference, why aren't there press conferences? So you can't talk with other. That's kind of what it's been, at least here recently. The
only times I've ever been on a call or in a press conference with an opportunity to talk to Hunter Yurchek were right after I started in the middle of COVID, when he was like, yeah, we'll see if we're playing football or not. We hope so. That time when Eric Musselman got his contract extension and he was on that Zoom, and then Cal's deal. So yeah,
where they avoided you like the plague at Cal's deal.
Yeah, it was crazy. Do not give that man the microphone.
Yeah.
Howdy either.
They gave it to every TV person that came from every corner of the state, though.
Yeah, or you'll be shot on site. They have a sniper up in the crow's nest waiting on you.
And I don't know how often other athletic directors hop up and do pressers and stuff either. But
we definitely don't need a weekly Zoom.
No.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like, again, I think that there was a time that I actually look forward to, was that Yurchek would do, it wasn't a press conference, but it was just more like a State of the Union. Like, here's a big article that was posted, and here's,
what do you call it? Like a letter from the desk or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Letter from the desk of Hunter Yurchek. So, which I appreciated, because it's like, okay, this is what's going on. And you haven't even gotten that. So
we need to hit up those dudes at 5 Star Sports in California.
Yeah. they got the ends, man. They got the inside scoops there.
I read the Ole Miss version of that the day after the rev share, like the house settlement stuff, got passed, and their AD spoke in a very different language. Like, I read the whole thing this morning. I was like, wow, I feel good about their situation. Yeah. Maybe he needs to do that. Write one of those letters to us, man.
Yeah. I'd read it. I would have gladly read it. Let's see. I know we'll get into some of the things that Remy Cofield had to say, but also this comes from, I guess, TJ Underwood. He says, you guys are acting like all this is coming from the same pot. Revenue sharing is coming from the athletic department. NIL comes from Edge, etc. Coaching salaries come from the Razorback Foundation. I don't know if he's talking about us here or just the chat specifically, but it's a matter of the allocation of the money. And like, well, first off, when you're saying that revenue sharing is coming from the athletic department, that's true, but where's the money that goes into the athletic department? Like being a member of the SEC, for instance, that goes into the athletic department. That doesn't go to the foundation. That doesn't. So it's like, in fact, I would make an argument, guys, that maybe the biggest check you receive in the entire state of Arkansas is that one from the SEC, which is like $70 million in a year going into your program. And it goes to the athletic department. That's what we're saying. So,
the NIL doesn't come from Edge. I know it's supposed to, but NIL doesn't come from Edge.
No.
I don't know what that's going to become, if anything, but it feels very, very, very much obsolete at this
Also,
point.
don't the coaching, the U of A and the Razorback Foundation, don't they split on every coach's contract? It's like he's going to receive X amount from the athletic department, X amount from. I know the Razorback Foundation foots a lot of those bills.
Yeah,
but,
it's like
it's also
500,000 or
independent
something from the school or whoever, and then the rest from right. It's usually how it is.
It's kind of like the president of the United States, like, hey, they only get paid $200,000 a year. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe.
I've got Cal's contract somewhere.
Yeah,
that I could
It's
pull
not
up.
one large pot, but it's not like these are all independent contractors working their own deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different there. Okay. Also, real quick, because Finch is coming in, he's like, I like how John typically has a marker on him ready to go, but he never writes any notes. Buddy, I write plenty of notes, and it's a pen for one. And I write the no slander list all the time over here. So get off my back. I'm ready for it, jerks. So anyway, we'll get to more of your chats, though, here in just a second, folks. But we do want to talk about some of the things that went on yesterday with Remy Cofield, the new GM of Arkansas, and some of the things that he had to say. And, of course, the Freedom Friday brought to you by our friends over at BetSaracen, the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. Man, they're almost done with that resort that's down there, and it looks awesome. We can't wait to go down there and check it out down there in Pine Bluff. It's going to be phenomenal, going to be open up later this year. So we really appreciate BetSaracen and the Saracen Casino Resort being our partners here. You still got Major League Baseball. You still got all the future bets for college football and all the different specials. So get to betting, get to winning, and getting that money with BetSaracen by downloading the app on your iPhone or on your Android, or you can check them out today at betsaracen.com and get to winning big. All right, guys. So we're going to go through a few of these clips from Remy Cofield, the GM for Arkansas. He met with the media yesterday for a whopping 23 minutes and had a few questions, which I thought some of them were really interesting, and then some of the answers were really interesting. So we'll go through a few of these. But the first one I wanted to bring up, guys, has to deal with his role. What is it that you do here? And here's was one of his responses to that. Some of these have the question in it. Some of them have just the answers because I'm an idiot. But either way, this has to do with that and his role at the University of Arkansas.
Talked to us in June about you filling out your staff and hopefully having some things in place by August. Can you tell us how you stand and how you see the structure of your staff?
Well, I don't have a staff in place, and I think
actually that's the staffing one. I'm not even putting it out here. How about this one instead? Let's do this one, day-to-day role.
A difficult question, but like the percentage or what you think about your own role, how much of it is maybe scouting, evaluation, just conversation? Like, how do you kind of define your role right now and what you do on maybe a day-to-day basis?
I think it's just like pick up the pieces where things need to be picked up. I said to Hunter, when we initially got on with this and started working and things, it's like I just want to help people out. Coaching staff needs something. They need advice on this particular rule that we're looking at. Like, call us up. Let's figure it out. If you want to talk about roster, players, all that stuff, you need a connection to somebody that I may have. Let's figure it out. So I think in my role, it's just trying to be a connector in a lot of ways, making sure every staff has what they need from a rev share standpoint, but also is brought up to speed on the new rules that are coming through that we're all kind of learning right now. We don't have a lot of answers to, but we're trying to get ahead of it and be proactive in that space.
Okay, so when he talked about his role, it sounded like to me that he's more of just like, hey, I'm here if you need me type of thing. Like, I misunderstood what was being asked or what was expected out of a GM, but I was expecting, I'm going to be handling the intertwinings with the contracts and handling with the players and the agents and everything. And I know he talked a little bit more about it, but just in that role of being like, I'm here for connections. I know if anybody needs anything, just come to me. I guess I was just a little surprised to hear that was going to be his day-to-day role, at least how he envisioned it, as less of just a specific GM, but more so of just a guy that can do a lot of different things and help out in various ways.
Yeah, and I know, one of the things I said yesterday on this show before the press conference was I would be curious to see what his responses would be to those questions, because there's no real blueprint for this position, especially how it's, being done at Arkansas. So he's kind of writing his own job description there. But yeah, I mean, it feels like it would be very, 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 very much prioritizing, revenue share and the new NIL clearinghouse and allocating all that stuff and figuring out the best way to go about it. And he did talk a little bit later about the strategy involved with balancing the budget and everything like that. But like the rest of this stuff, man, I mean, I don't know. Like if you're answering all the compliance questions, did they cut the compliance department? Because they might not need it at this point. And honestly, I'm sure he has a lot of really great connections from a basketball standpoint. Cal doesn't need help there. Maybe if they have another staff, that could be something you benefit from down the road. But like if some of these other coaches on these staffs need him to connect them to other players or whatever, like should they even be here? I don't know. That some of that was a little bit strange to me, but I think it just goes back to it's just like an open book, and he doesn't even know. And when he was hired, it's not like he was filling a role. It's a new position. So I think it's very much exactly what he's saying, which is, I'll get in where I fit in, and we'll kind of figure out what the best role for me is.
You know what it sounded like to me? Y'all ever been at a wedding or like a social gathering and you're standing next to some buddies, and then there's like someone that comes in and starts asking someone about their job, and they kind of, you can tell they're like, do I really just dive into details and like explain my day-to-day to this random aunt that's asking me questions? A lot of times they're like, oh, I'm in business. I work at this company. I'm in marketing or whatever. And like, you can kind of tell. And then people are asking questions. They're like, kind of just giving vague answers. It felt a little bit like that. And Curtis, you mentioned how this is a unique role. Like there's no precedent. So it really felt like he was just kind of explaining like the job title or the job description or whatever. But I felt like that was an opportunity for him to really explain like, hey, this is a unique job. There's nobody that's ever done this before. Here's really why I'm here. Like my goal is this,
right?
Which he doesn't have to tell us or not, but it comes back to why did they do the press conference? If you're not going to dive into any details, you're just going to kind of give vague, oh yeah, I'm here to manage the budget is what I'm here to do. I'm here to be a consultant to the coaches. It's like, okay, like what is that? What did that really tell us?
Well, and it goes to the quote in one of my favorite movies of Office Space when they're talking to the guys like, what is it that you do here? And he goes, well, I take this and I deal with the engineers or deal with the people so the engineers don't have to. Like, so you actually physically like put the work together? Well, sometimes, but most of the time I just hand it to them. It's like no one really knows what the defined role is. And I agree, there's probably a lot of things that are up in the air, but it goes back to what we talked about yesterday. And the thing that I really was going to focus on is he's been here for 3 months. Like if that was an answer given as soon as he was hired back on April 1st, then that's one thing. But it's like, you've been here for 3 months. And it felt like there would be more of a definition of what it is that you're doing and your number one goal and, what you brought on. Because I think you even mentioned it yesterday too, Curtis, of like, we kind of wanted to see a dog, a wolf, a guy that's just like an actual GM, a wheeling and dealing type of guy. And it seems like that it's almost like that's just a small part of his job as being a GM at the end of the day.
Yeah. It gave off, and like, I'm not here to critique everything that Remy said in a bad way or whatever. And I understand why he answered some of the questions the way that he did. But it just gives off, we're trying to figure out exactly what this is going to look like still. And if that's the case, then so be it. But yeah, like Andrew, I'm with you from a standpoint of like, this is a good opportunity there for him to be like, hey, this is my goal. This is what I'm here to do. Because the truth is, he got here in, the beginning of April or whenever it was. And, probably sat down at his desk, took a big deep breath and went, okay, I've got to figure out what exactly is going on here before I can figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. And that probably took a while if he's even gotten to that point yet. And then now he's hit with a brand new world. Are they prepared for that or not? I don't know.
Well, and I know you got videos to play and everything. I'm not trying to drag this out, but it comes back to like, this sounded like an introductory press conference that took place 3 months ago. We expected, and we spoke about that on the show yesterday, that since there's been this 3-month period for him to kind of have that evaluation process, for him to kind of figure out, hey, what is it that we're trying to do here? I just thought this press conference would have more info than maybe if we'd done the introductory one 3 months ago, but this might as well have been that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, because he talked a lot about as we enter this new world and these new rules and we're still trying to figure them out and everything like that. Fine. Okay, sure. I was really hoping that it would be more of a, hey, I've been working on getting a handle of this. I know what's going on. We got the plan. We're putting it in place. We're ready to rock. Right. And I didn't get those vibes necessarily.
Yeah. And real quick too, like I want to make it clear. It's not just like, critiquing for the sake of critiquing. It's a matter of once again, it's just all added. There's just been so many opportunities where you keep hoping it's like, okay, at some point, someone's going to say something really good and get people fired up and be excited and be feeling good about everything. And it just felt like, because you guys remember, I know you do, when I went off of him on Sam Pittman about this. It was after they went 4-8 and you had, I think it was Trey Biddy asked him about, hey, what's your message to fans what you're going to do to get everyone excited about the future? And he goes, I don't know. Next question. It's like, dude, that's your chance to tell everyone like, hey, we're going to do this, this, this. And I'm different circumstances, but that's just kind of the lens I look at it as. These are opportunities to talk to the fans and the best way to do it. So just, bring it in the best way. But I will play this clip. This is the one I think a lot of people took issue with, if there was one, dealing with his recruiting pitch to kids who are thinking about coming to Arkansas.
So you'll figure it out once you get here. I think being in Boston, I've always been a city kid. I grew up in Boston, went to Philadelphia, went back to Boston, been there the last 14 years. And so just coming down here, I used to come down here to watch, Muss's pro days and things like that. And over the last 5 years, I was doing the SEC. Primarily, that was a lot of what I was doing. And you come down here and, the 10-minute drive from the airport is like, cows and chickens and things like that. And so I was, I came down here with my wife and, I tried to tell her, like, have an open mind, we'll figure this thing out. But I think both of us, when we got down here, we started going out, we started meeting the people. It's a sense of you just don't want to leave. And I think there's a lot of people that live here that are coming from other places. I'm talking about like LA and Chicago and Philadelphia, all these different places, bigger cities. They come down here and they don't want to leave. And so I think that's a testament to what Arkansas is. It's not just about the big businesses that are here, which is a beautiful thing to have on top of it. It's just about the culture that's down here that's being built out. And if you're not a part of it, you're missing out. You really are.
Okay, so there's stuff that was fine in that, but just starting with the first comment, guys, of, come to Arkansas and you'll see what it's all about. What'd you make of his recruiting pitch, at least in the question and the answer of that?
Well, I 100% understand what he was getting at there, and I appreciate the sentiment. We've been doing this since the beginning of time with Arkansas. It's the whole thing about visiting, coming here for an official, these recruits, right? It's like the undersell and then over deliver, because you get here and you're like, oh, wow, this is actually not what I thought it was going to be. Like, I get that. We've been doing this. You're supposed to be different here, like, with your job and kind of what it entails with the money and everything like that. That's all part of your role. It's like, I didn't necessarily want to hear the exact same pitch there that we've been here. I want to hear something a little bit new, whatever. I understand what he's getting at. At least he gets it from that standpoint. Okay, fine. But it's whatever, man. Like, I don't want to nitpick this guy. I think he's an impressive guy. I really do. Like, I feel bad for shitting, on everything he says here. Because that's not what I'm trying to do. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, when you say things, and I understand what he was getting at, but like earlier, he was like, why were you the best fit here at Arkansas? And he was like, well, at first I didn't think I was a fit here. And then when you say things like that, where you're like, I had to convince my wife, and it's like, hey, let's just give it a chance. Let's just figure it out. Like, when you aren't portraying that you were sold on Arkansas, but it's your job to sell these guys on Arkansas, that kind of becomes a tough sell, in my opinion. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's as funny as, like, this clip is far from like the most offensive one for me personally. I understand now the first thing coming out of your mouth is come to Arkansas and you'll figure it out. I understand why people ran with that a little bit. And if you clip that out with no context and just that sentence, that's a bad one. But I agree with your sentiment, Curtis, that, like, it's not even like this that Remy Cofield is like an idiot or like he doesn't know what he's talking about or he's lying or anything. I think he's telling the truth. I think he's being honest. I think that's probably how he viewed it. I mean, he probably didn't wake up in January and just say, man, you know what I can't wait to do is be the GM at Arkansas. But once he was presented with it, once he thought about it, once he visited Arkansas, he came around to it. All that is like that. The premise of that, perfectly fine, perfectly dandy. I believe him. And like you said, Curtis, we've heard this time and time again from coaches, players, whoever that have come here from whatever. Like, we knew this information. We were kind of hoping to come into this press conference needing to see something that told us like, hey, this is going to be like a new thing that's going to put you over the top. It's a different thing. And I definitely don't get that, but it's not because I don't like Remy Cofield and think he's, got a chance to do a good job and, is going to give it his best, the old college try. I just am not super convinced that like this is going to be the game-changing move the athletic department needed to like take it over the top necessarily.
Yeah, and I'm just petty. Like, I know I am, and it's a thing to where like you mentioned it all, Curse, but also too, I just didn't like where it was more of, hey, well, the thing that makes this place great is that there's a lot of people from bigger cities that came here and they didn't want to leave. It's like, well, what about the people that are just here, and grew up here, like people like me? It's almost like that's where he found comfort, and was just the fact that it's like, oh, there's other people that have come from other places and came down here. Again, maybe that's just probably me being petty, and that's fine. But I just I was not big on that, and was not big on the approach to that. And maybe it's something that, just like everybody who comes here, at least a lot of people, they kind of get over it and move through it. But yeah, the cows and chickens thing. It's like, I've still yet to see chickens when I've gone through the airport. Now, cows I've seen, but chickens, come on. Unless the chicken man giving out money to players that are good. That's the only chickens I've seen. So let's see. Also, we'll have your chats and everything, because we also got to get into our best and worst of the week. But this was also what Remy Cofield had to say about Hunter Yurachek's leadership and the discussing of the job and getting the job and everything like that.
Touched on a little bit ago how you were kind of unsure your fit, what it would be at Arkansas. I'm curious, when you talked to the higher ups and Hunter Yurachek, what was it about their vision that sold you to come here?
I mean, I've worked for Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens, two of the best leaders that I've ever seen. Like, those guys are extremely humble. They work hard. They're open. They take ideas from some of the oddest places out there. They're not afraid to make mistakes. And I think it was easy when talking to Hunter over and over again that I could see a lot of that in him, where he was able to be a person that was open to new ideas and to create a vision of all this, right? We're going in a direction that college sports has never seen before. And he hasn't been afraid to kind of jump into the deep end and try new things. So I commend him for that. I appreciate him for that. A lot of us here are very appreciative of the ideas that he's brought to the table, and the ability to come bring ideas to him every single day. So it's been great. It's been great being here.
I'm just going to chalk this up as a reversal of course that Remy has noticed based on what we've been, because he has been very, very, very publicly resistant to change, mainly being NIL and everything like that. So hey, maybe he learned from that or whatever, and now he's an open book and ready to try some new things and get innovative. And maybe that's a reflection of the conversations that him and Remy have been having. That's what I'm going to choose to believe there.
Well, I think what it tells you is that Remy Cofield has known Hunter Yurachek for 3 months. And so in these 3 months, Hunter Yurachek has been diving in the deep end, trying to figure out a solution to this revenue sharing, trying to find a solution to how to live in this NIL world. And so, like, for what Remy Cofield has been around and seen, of course, that's all he's seen out of Hunter Yurachek. But as we detailed earlier, there's been a lot of other schools who have been combating these issues for a lot longer than 3 months, who hired GMs a lot longer ago, who have more than 4 people running their football program a lot longer ago, and have been kind of out in front of this. But for what Remy Cofield, 6 months ago, he didn't know what revenue sharing was, who Hunter Yurachek was, any of that. So, of course he doesn't know about that kind of stuff. So I think from Remy's standpoint, I'm sure he does view Hunter Yurachek as the combatant of the transfer portal and combatant of revenue sharing, because that's all he's been doing for the last 3 months.
Yeah, I'm going to use a pop culture reference, but I think you guys maybe have seen the stuff when how they put it, live action version of that Snow White movie came out, and they had that actress that was playing Snow White kind of hating on the original cartoon and made people mad. And then she sat down a few months later and did an interview. She's like, I've always respected the old like show and the movie and all that. It's like you said, Curtis, it's a reversal of course of just kind of like, hey, this narrative's out there. So we need to make sure somebody within our walls is saying that narrative is not there. It's not a true thing.
It's when Cam Newton wore I almost said Cam Pittman. Cam Newton wore the Rosie the Riveter hat after he made that comment about a female asking him a question or whatever. This is textbook PR.
Yeah. Really good at it too. It's really good at it too. But yeah, there was a lot more of that, folks. So we could spend, all day just breaking it down and everything. But if you want to watch the full press conference, it's up on our Inside Arkansas YouTube page, and you can check it out that way too. But either way, I don't know when we'll hear from him again. Maybe we won't. Still interested to see, what roles he'll be playing. I'm sure Sam Pittman will be asked about it. Whenever John Calipari meets with the media next, I'm sure he'll be asked about it. So there'll be still some comments made. But as far as from him, who knows when we'll be able to hear from him again. But that was what the introductory press conference looked like.
I do want to leave it at this with Remy, from my standpoint at least. One, dude's jacked. If Pittman needs a safety or something, then maybe he should volunteer his own services and not take any of the revenue share, and you could kill two birds with one stone. I do think he's an impressive guy. I do. I think he's very sharp. I like the youthful nature about him and everything. The only thing that I was missing, what I was really hoping for, and he seems like the kind of guy that's got it in him. He just didn't portray it, but I was hoping for him to come up there and be like, hey, I'm him. I'm here. I'm going to set the standard for what this position is supposed to look like. People are going to be trying to do it like me. And I'm the reason why Arkansas is going to get to where all you people want them to be, like kind of giving that type of message, maybe a little bit of rah-rah in there. And the truth was he was probably, and this is no fault of his own, just being honest in his assessment of where things are at and how it currently stands. And I don't fault him for that.
He told the truth, and like you say, we can't fault him because we ask people all the time to really tell us the truth. We want these answers and all that. And he was able to provide the answers that he could provide and give his perspective. He couldn't provide, obviously, all of the answers that we need. But again, that's not his fault. But like you said, it's easy to see why Remy Cofield got to this position, like why he is quickly risen up the ranks in Boston, because he's an impressive guy, well-spoken, again, tells the truth, and he's been around some really impressive leaders and people that know how to run organizations. Again, the only question that everyone had coming in was, all right, you've done that at the G League level in the NBA. How is that going to translate to here? And he says he's great working with people. I can believe that. I can absolutely see that. I'm sure he's going to need to work with a lot of people. I don't know if we got 100% clarity as to why a very impressive young man in a different field is going to be the solution in this particular mess that Arkansas is in. And again, this is way deeper than one person. It's not like Remy is really being here to save the program and save everything. But that is kind of the feel it has of like, hey, you're kind of in charge here to run everything. Like there's nobody in college athletics who has more on their plate than Remy does now, in terms of running basically an entire athletic department that is sinking and struggling to even stay above water, and he's running every sport and doesn't have a staff around him to do it. Like, you can make an argument Remy is being asked to do more than any of these GMs at the collegiate level, and that includes some high like Michael Lombardi at North Carolina. He's just running football. And he's a NFL GM and all that. So Remy, you could ask, has got more on his plate than anybody. And I think he's going to do, the best he can. I think he's going to do what he's got to do. And I'm not doubting the dude at all. Like we're absolutely going to give him a chance, and we're going to get behind him. We're going to hope that he's the guy that has all these answers. And I think what he represents, being a young, well-spoken guy who's not from Arkansas, but can appeal to athletes and be like, hey, this is a place for you to, to be. I get the premise of that, but, yesterday's press conference definitely didn't give us all the clarity we wanted in terms of why this move makes sense, why he is the right guy, and what exactly is going to happen and what it's going to look like around him. We basically got zero clarity on that front. Well, and also too, real quick, just want to also reiterate that any issues that I've had, or at least the criticism I have, is not from him personally. It was more of like he needed to be set up for this. He needed to be set up for it a lot better by the administration, by the sports information department or whatever, when going into this, of being like,
all right, well, when they're going to ask you what your role is, which they will, here's what, we're going to have you say. And I feel it has no fault of him. It's just, this comes across as because what was this press conference? Yeah, yesterday. So Thursday comes across as like Tuesday is kind of like, hey, you want to do a press conference Thursday? Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. See you there. And that was it. It just didn't, there could have been a lot of things that he could have been set up for a lot more success. It had nothing to do with him. It had more to do with the people around him is really what it's about. So
I promise he hasn't been just sitting wherever his office is with his feet propped up on the desk. I promise he's been getting after it.
I can also clarify because I saw some people being like, he said he's only been to Fayetteville twice. That's not what he said. He had only been to the football media room twice or been there, so he didn't know his way exactly to get there, which frankly, I can relate to that. I've been lost in that same facility before. I don't think he said he's only been to Fayetteville twice. Now you could say, hey, he should be around that football facility more. Maybe he should be more than twice, whatever. But it's not like he hasn't been here.
Well, and I think, I don't know, I'm not trying to speak for the person in the chat, but he did say that before he took the job, he had only been to Fayetteville like twice for those must camps, I think is what he was saying. So gotcha. Maybe that's what they're referring to. But either way, yeah, as far as him getting the job, no, I doubt that it's something to that extent of like, oh, he's just there. It just was. And he's just been down there twice. And because I saw somebody say like, oh, well, I hear that he was up there waiting for the NBA season to end. And then he would come down here. I was like, I doubt that was going on. Like, I doubt that they're like, hey, he starts April 1st, but I got to wait until the NBA season's over. Oh, you mean the Celtics season? No, just the NBA season in general. Just I got to wait up there in Boston. Like, I don't think that happened. I don't think
he's here long enough for his wife to fall in love with the area.
That's true. That's true. More so than Chad Morris's wife ever did.
Shout out to Eric Musselman for the assist.
Yep. Listen, Muss is still, dude. I'm surprised he didn't retweet that clip because he heard his name called. Now that he's been recognized, he can retweet the clip. So we'll get to your chats again, folks, here in a bit. But let's go ahead and have some fun with some best and worst of the week presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. Why wait months or even years to sell your home the traditional way? Because at Looper Auction and Realty, they offer a faster and smarter option. You can sell your home at auction. No repairs, no contingencies, no drawn-out negotiations. You set the terms, buyers compete, and you walk away with a firm closing date. Whether it's your home, an estate, an investment property, the auction method puts you in control and gets it sold fast. So call Looper Auction and Realty at 479-996-4848. That's 479-996-4848. Or visit looperauction.com. It's Looper Auction Realty, sold in 30, closed in 30. All right, so for best and worst of the weekend, at least for my best, this has actually kind of worked out perfectly because I was going to bring this up anyways as the best, but then something else added to it today. But man, anytime I can get some good old-fashioned John Calipari and Nolan Richardson content, I'm always great. But of course, the video at Herman's and them talking, but then Cal just put this out today where Nolan Richardson addressed the team and talked to him. And Cal's tweet showing this picture, he said, quote, Coach Richardson watched our guys run the 2020s today and was having a ball after he delivered an incredible message about the importance of having great conditioning and never let anyone outwork you. Always love having coach at practice. So love this stuff. This is the stuff that hits me in my feels.
Yeah, it lit a fire in Nolan's belly watching them boys run.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, everybody calm down. You see Carter Knox back there?
Yeah.
That's AI. It's not real.
How his conditioning was today?
Based on the look on it, he looks all right. None of them look particularly happy to be there. I got to say, I wouldn't be either after all that. Cal's the happiest one there.
Yeah. I'm wondering, do you think Nolan delivered the message before the 2020s or after the 2020s? Because I feel like if he did it after the 2020s, they probably didn't listen to a word because they're just like, man, I just got to catch my breath here. But maybe
they might have got open hands slapped in the face if they had like hands on their knees or something, attention, boys.
Mm-hmm. Man, I really hope they put out a video like they did last year when he spoke to the team and how awesome that was.
Yeah.
I hope they do that again here because Nolan, I mean, you look at him, he's in his early mid 80s. I mean, he's getting up there in years and everything. And he doesn't, obviously look the same that he did 30 years ago, but man, the dude can still talk, whether it was in that, when we heard him at Bob Holt's funeral, the dudes can still command a room and still talk great. So I really hope we get to hear what he had to say and hopefully drop some expletives. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. I have two quick thoughts on this. One, just looking at the team. First of all, can they guys, please stop taking the team photos after conditioning and start giving us just a little nugget here or there. just a dunk here or there. Somebody hit a three, something, little practice clips. I'm begging you. Nick Pringle is a specimen. Look at that dude. That's a grown man right there. And Trevin, you know I love you, buddy. You got to get the hair's got to grow all the way back out. Like
wear a hat.
we just gotta. I can't get used to it. I just very much need, big hair, dread, something from our man TB.
Curtis, before you do your best of the week, unless or is this basically yours, or did you have a separate one?
No, I got different stuff.
Okay, John, I need you to do me a favor. While Curtis is doing his best of the week, can you pull the video on Razorback football that has Braylon Russell and Rodney Hill in it? It won't let me download it on Twitter for some reason. So I'm giving you time to. I mean, I'll filibuster if I need to. But Curtis, I wanted to let you know on my For You page on TikTok, a video came up of Malik Ewan, Billy Richmond, and what's the short guard walk on that they just brought in?
Amir Brown.
Amir. Yeah, because his name on TikTok is like something Mir, and I was like,
PGA, yeah.
But it was them doing a nice little dance. I thought you'd appreciate that. I almost sent it to you.
Who was the best dancer?
Billy was the most comfortable doing it. Malik Ewan was a little stiff. He didn't commit to it. You could tell he got dragged into it. Like, hey, come on, Malik, do this dance with us.
That's
Billy
me.
was getting after it though.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
good.
Also, just to that point, I got the video in here in a second, but like to that point, you're talking about Trevin's hair. It's funny that, usually it's the freshman year that the person has the most kind of basic, boring haircut. And Trevin has been like, nope, every year I've had something different going on. And it's my final year when I'm just going to have the straight short hair, man. Just nothing crazy to it.
Let's leave the buzz cuts to me, man. You got too much going on. Like I do this out of necessity. You don't have to,
Yeah, let it grow as much as possible. But no, I love this also too, real quick. One, it's still my favorite thing that the picture is never that centered. This one's a little bit better, but getting there. So come on, Riley. I know it's you. Mm-hmm. And also too, nobody is better than after conditioning than Cal, making sure that he doesn't get the stench of like DJ Wagner, like in this picture. Like it's always his arms out, but just kind of like awkwardly there. So I just love the fact he's like, I'm not touching you. He's like, I'm sweaty, you're sweaty. Because Cal looks like he ran him too. Look at that. I mean, he's got a soaked up shirt right there. So
after it. We saw him jogging down the street. So
that's true.
He probably is in there mixing it up a little bit.
That's true. Yeah. So, but that's my best of the week right there.
I like it. I like it a lot. My best of the week got to go to Adu Thero. Very, very happy for Adu. Wish he would have gotten selected in the first round, but I think it's very, very cool how it wound up going down. Going to the Lakers, Showtime, everything about that's cool, right? That's awesome. You get to rub elbows with Bronny James and Austin Reeves, or LeBron James and Luka. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, man. I'm excited for him. And, it's not a deal where it was like, oh, okay, we're picking, let's just take whoever's best available or whatever on the board. The Lakers were slated to pick 55th yesterday, and they traded up and got halfway there. And then they traded up again to get to 36. And then they took Adu with that pick. Like, you don't trade up twice and take a guy if you don't see something in him. I'm not saying, oh God, Adu is going to go there and he's going to start right away or whatever. But they see something they like there. And yeah, I understand the clutch connections and everything like that. But I think that's very cool and it's good for Adu. I really liked Cal's tweet that he put out there about like, this is a dude who was, 5'11" or whatever in the 9th grade. And he's grown into what he is now and developed into what he is. We talk so much about Cal's, his draft streaks and, the lottery picks and the number 1 overall guys and the $6 billion. And I've said it a dozen times this week. I'm going to say it one more time. I feel like this one is going to mean a little bit more. It's going to hit a little bit differently for a guy like Cal, because this was someone who he took a shot on and believed in, who took a shot on him and believed in him, followed him from Kentucky to Arkansas, stuck it out for 3 years, developed, had that breakout, and now he's being rewarded for it. So good for Adu, man. I'm pumped for him.
Yeah, and he's going to be on national television a lot. The Lakers are on national TV a lot for being the Lakers, but also because you've got, like you said, Bron, Luka, Austin Reeves, all these cool cats there. So we'll get to see a lot of Adu Thero, given where they picked him and given, like you said, Curtis, them trading up. This is not just some second-round flyer you're taking a chance on. Like, this seems like a guy that's going to be on the roster. You know what I mean? Like, going to have a very good chance. And, will he maybe to be some type of two-way situation? I don't know. We'll see how, ready he is in summer league and all that. But I think he's got a good chance to play a good bit. And on a team that has all kind of scoring, all kind of playmaking, they could really use a lot of defense, particularly some guys with some size and versatility. thru, all three of those in droves. And so I think it's a great fit for him. I think it's a good spot for him to go. He's going to flourish under the lights, man. And by the way, he's a clutch guy, which I know Razorback fans view that as a negative. When you're in LA and when you're playing with LeBron, that is a very, very good thing. Tristan Thompson made like $300 million for being like just an average four-man. I think a dude thru, you know what I mean? Like, this is a good situation for him. Absolutely.
It's also worth noting, and I'm sure that they'll, get somebody via trade or whatever, but this Lakers organization is starved for big men, and they passed on some really good college big men who were still available and took a do anyway. So I think it tells you that they like him. They're high on him.
Absolutely. Well, my best of the weekend, John, go ahead and get I see you got the video pulled up here with our screen. This fired me up today. Year 2 of this duo, says the University of Arkansas football account. Like this?
I do like this.
Everyone's been wondering what year 2 of Rodney Hill and Braylon Russell will look like.
Let's go, man.
Love that absolutely fires me up. I'm just kidding. It's not actually my best of the weekend, or my best of the week. I got to tell y'all about this TV show I've been watching.
Okay.
Y'all know I get sucked into watching just some of the stupidest TV shows you've ever seen in your life. Curtis, you watched a little bit of the literal stupidest TV show you've ever seen in your life with me. Not this one. I've been watching this new show on Amazon Prime. It's 8 episodes, and it's like a crime, murder, mystery type of thing. So get this. And if anybody is planning on watching it, don't pause, because I'm about to spoil the piss out of this show. The Better Sister on Amazon Prime. But the premise, you got Elizabeth Banks, Jessica Biel, and the bald guy from Ant-Man. I forgot his name. But Elizabeth Banks is like a crackhead, drug addict, alcohol addict, all of the above. She goes to rehab, and her sister steals her husband and steals her son, moves to New York. They live in Cleveland, dips out of town. And then now the son is accused of murdering the father. The father gets murdered brutally, and so now there's this whole thing. Nobody knows who did it. I'm like 6 episodes in. I still don't know who did it. It's got me hooked, though. I was like, it took me a while, but it got me hooked. I don't even like the true crime stuff. I know a lot of people, true crime, there's like a whole sect of the internet. People love true crime stuff, so it's like anyone who's into that kind of stuff. But there's like court cases, detectives. There's like this little lesbian detector who's like this old woman. She's like grizzled up, and she's like talks in a southern accent. She's the detective. It's good stuff.
All right.
It's my best of the week. The Better Sister on Amazon Prime.
A good deal. I'm going to do my worst of the week real quick. D1 baseball, because they selected their All-Americans, and they had Vahiva Loy at second team All-American, which is crazy to win. The Golden Spikes winner is not a first team All-American. And to add to that, he was the third shortstop ranked because Lodis or whatever was a first team designated hitter is what they put him at. So it's like they had three shortstops, and 2 of them were listed ahead of Vahiva Loy. So either way, they're the worst of the week, because I'm sorry, you can talk about bias or hey, we're just going with our rankings. That's like putting the Heisman Trophy winner on second team All-American. Like you can't do that. Like that makes no sense. So that was my worst of the week, is not giving a Loy, which a place I respect D1 baseball and all that, but not getting them first team All-American after winning the Golden Spikes. I'm not a fan of that.
You know, it's crazy, John. The other guy, Lodice, wasn't even their first team shortstop. He was first team utility. Their first team shortstop was a kid from UCLA, Rock Chalowski, who is a stud.
He was good, but like
he's very, very good. I mean, he's a stud. But they basically had they pretty much, they had Vahiva as their number 3 shortstop.
Yeah, that's dumb. Very dumb. But that was my worst of the week.
Mine yesterday, one of my heavy hitters was the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Or right? And so one of my worst of the week is going to be Ace Bailey,
dude.
Or his representation, whatever that is. But I was seeing some reporting right before we started the show that he still hasn't reported to the Jazz, and like the communication there has been minimal, and maybe he will, maybe he like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, how good do you think you are, bro? You were just paired up with another top 5 pick and you went sub 500 and didn't even make the tournament. And now you think you get to dictate where you go play? What are you doing, bro? Who the hell do these kids think they are, man? He ain't that good.
Nope.
I'm sorry. He's not.
Nope.
Cooper Flagg's not that good. Like, you just don't do that. It's a horrible, horrible first impression to make. And what do you think the end game here is? That the Jazz are going to be like, oh, well, you really don't want to come play here, buddy. So we'll put you on the trading block because all these other places are going to be dying to have you. And yeah, they're going to give us a great return on this. This is crazy work. So maybe it's not the kid. It's probably the representation in his ear and he's getting bad advice, but that's just outrageous to me. I can't believe that this is a thing with this particular player.
We got to stop normalizing the players that just where they get drafted. They're like, no, I don't want to go there. I'm going to dictate wherever I want to go. Like, we got to stop doing that stuff. I know it hasn't happened all the time, but like, I didn't like when Eli Manning did. I thought it was crap when he did it back then. So I'm like, just go there. And then, because you know what true like winners do and champions do? It's like they make the team. Like LeBron going to Cleveland was, you know, obviously with him being hometown and all that stuff, but it wasn't like this glamorous place, but you know, he built them up itself. So just go to places and then do it yourself. Who cares? So annoying.
So you know, it's funny, Curtis. I'm not even joking. I had Ace Bailey as my worst of the weekend as well, or worst of the week as well. Him, but I gotta say, have you seen his agent?
Isn't he a con, like an ex-con or something? Like legitimately?
I don't know. I just saw a video of him in his car listening to Jay-Z. But he apparently was like charging people for him doing interviews during the draft process. He was like charging outlets. He's like, hey, I'll talk to you, but you gotta give me money. I think that's funny. I debated whether I should make this my best of the weekend because I think him being drafted to Utah is actually hilarious.
It's amazing.
No, It really is. And it's also, I mean, one, because like that's, you know, if you want to like really live this awesome, lavish lifestyle, I know Salt Lake City, like, you know, some people live nice there, but like as a young kid, as a 19-year-old, not where you want to go necessarily, not the organization you want to go to either. And I hate basketball has a lot of examples of these, of like some of these kids that just slip through the cracks of just like kind of being a shithead their entire career. And they're good enough at basketball. Obviously there's, you know, if you're in high school and you've got this kid that's unbelievable, he's like, you know, a behavior issue, but he's, you know, you think he has a chance to play in the NBA, you kind of have to deal with it a little bit. So his high school coaches just kind of deal with it. And then you have your AAU coaches, same kind of thing. Well, he's really good at basketball. I know he sucks, but we kind of got to deal with it. Then you go to Rutgers, a place where they brought in 2 top 5 picks, Dylan Harper, who's a stud, by the way, love him. And you just kind of have to deal with it. You're like, hey, he takes all these bad shots, but he averages 20. Let's just deal with it. They don't win any games doing that. And now he's going to go to the NBA. It happens a lot there. Andrew Wiggins basically wasted the first 6 years of his NBA career because he was in Minnesota and they were like, hey, you can just do whatever you want. Like, we're not trying to win right now. Just go do whatever you got to do. So the NBA has a lot of these situations, these kids that just kind of go through every level. You know how like in high schools or in any elementary schools, teachers don't want to fail a kid because then you got to teach them again. And so you just kind of pass them. People fail upwards. Ace Bailey has failed upwards because he's a generational athlete. But I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. But I love Dylan Harper. I don't know how they managed to like join together somehow at Rutgers and then didn't win at all. It's crazy.
It's a wild deal. And hey, if it is, you know, maybe he's a great kid and it is his representation. I see some people in the chat, but like, you choose who represents you. You know what I mean? And so if that's the case, like I just can't imagine a world where he's got a great head on his shoulders and he's looking at this situation going, yeah, man, this is going to all work out great. This is a good look for me. It's just not. Give Utah a chance, man. They just show him the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Just watch an episode of that, and then he'll get excited. He'll go on to Salt Lake City and thrive.
You got him and Walker Kessler. Is Laurie Markkinen still there?
I don't know.
That's a squad.
I just always been
Clarkson might still be there.
You got Walter Clayton, right?
Yeah, Walter Clayton's gonna be. Yeah, What a fascinating young core that is.
Yeah, I just assume that Andre Kirilenko is still there, even though I know he's not because he doesn't play anymore. But
AK-47.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, there you have it. There's our best and worst of the week. And we'll get to your final chats as well as part of our little summer topics before we wrap up here. And of course, it's presented by our friends over at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas, which we know that summer being here, you want to get on the boat, get on the lake, get on the water. And it's tough, though, if you don't own a boat. And if you ever do own a boat, you're like, man, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of maintenance. This is a lot of money. All of those things. Well, don't worry about it because Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas is going to have you covered, where they give you access to the boats without the commitment. And basically, you just show up, you get on the boat, you bring the boat back, and you're done. They'll take care of the rest of it for you. You got 3 locations in Arkansas: Greers Ferry Lake, Lake Hamilton, or a day on the river in Little Rock. It's Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas, and they're going to make your summer in the natural state the best one yet. You can check out their website at freedomboatclubar.com. That's freedomboatclubar.com, or you can scan that QR code at the top right corner of your screen to learn more about the benefits of joining the Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. So we have a few of your chats. But we've been doing these little summer topic things that we're going to continue to do because I find them fun and I want to have fun. But I tell you what, we'll mix it up because you've got sports, food, and entertainment. And we've been starting with sports. You know what? We'll just go ahead and do sports again. This one, I think it'll be right up your alley, Curtis. At least I hope so. Similar to what we did yesterday, but you're up by 3, 10 seconds to go. The opposing team is letting their best player take a 3 to try to tie it in the national title game. Which Razorback defender in history are you having lock them down?
Audie's Tony.
No even hesitation. The Tony man.
I saw what he did to Teddy Buckets.
It's a great one.
That's a good pick. I have one that I don't know if this is controversial at all. This player, when he was at Arkansas, maybe didn't have a viewpoint as like being a defensive anchor, as like a lockup defender, because he was carrying a load offensively that when he played professionally, he did not have to carry. And that's where he did become this lockup defender. I'm not going Patrick Beverly. I'm going Ronnie Brewer. I like the size. I feel like he's a good matchup for a lot of guys. I mean, hell, even smaller guards, I wouldn't mind Ronnie Brewer there because he's just long, could really bother them. And I think he's a really, like in the NBA, of course, that's all he did was play defense. I think if I'm taking him in his athletic prime, I feel like that's a really tough possession, getting a shot off on Ronnie Brewer.
Yeah. That was a good one. In fact, Curtis, you kind of took mine with Tony because I thought that was a great one as well. But I know, I mean, it's
too little. By the way, I see Bo Anders saying Pat Bev way too little. Anybody over 6'5" is posting him up.
Yeah, you need somebody like that. I think Ronnie's a great one. I mean, if you go really old school back in the day, Corey Beck was kind of that guy that he was like a 6'4" point guard, but he was nasty and tenacious with that. So I think that one would be a great possibility there as well. But one of the what's up?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, one of the ones I thought of, just not to say that it was one like all the time moment, and it had nothing to do with the 3-point shot, but still, I could think about freshman Devo Davis when he locked down.
I was about to say, we're on the same wavelength, man. I was about to say, if we get real specific, we could go with NCAA tournament freshman Devo Davis. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, depending on the ref, Jalen Williams.
Yeah. I mean,
you get a little quick whistle on that block charge. I don't know. I don't think he might be the guy. I like this one from Kingsley. He says, oh crap, it went away. He said he's going Jordan Walsh. He said, go ahead and just put him at the line.
Yeah, exactly.
We got fouls to give. Go ahead and put him on the line.
Yeah. No, I love that. That all that stuff that, like, again, with Devo especially, like, that was just always like the one moment I'm like, man, that dude just was not letting that dude get the ball no matter what. So, again, we'll get to your chats. Let's do how about this? Food wise, what is the number one dessert of all time? Now, when I'm asking this is not saying a simple food item like, oh, cookies. I'm talking about like if you want to have like a full like dessert
dish.
type. Yeah, like a dish. Like what would be your go-to dessert?
Pecan pie.
Really?
I love a good pecan pie, man. What is that face for, Curtis?
You never cease to.
You were going to say pecan pie?
Yeah, but I'm going to come up with something different because I can't just be on the same page with it. I'd love, if my grandma makes it, you know what I mean? But that's hard to beat, bro. It's really hard to beat.
You're out of your mind.
John, I used to go to the pecan festival an hour outside of my hometown just to get the pies.
Sheesh. I'm over here saying that my favorite is like dealing with like an apple cobbler with vanilla ice cream and cinnamon. Like, that's my go-to. But You know, I just was. Here's the thing: is I'm not a fan of pecan pie or caro nut pie, as my Frammy used to call it. But
Really?
yeah, just not a fan.
I tell you what, pie. You know, pumpkin pie. It's not my favorite necessarily. It wouldn't be on number one. It went from overrated to underrated over the years, where there was a stretch where everyone was big on pumpkin pie. Like, oh, you got to have it. And it became like billed as a top one. And then there was a pushback. There was a dissension era with pumpkin pie where people were like, is it really that great? And now I feel like it's unanimously not viewed as a top tier pie. I think it probably needs to be back in that mix though.
I tell you what, low key, very, very high up there on my list. I love a good homemade banana pudding.
I was about to throw banana pudding out there too.
Yeah. Wafers,
vanilla wafers.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. We're from the South. We know how.
If you guys want to go if you guys want to go fancy and get some that's really, really good, Cheers at the Opo down there on the square. They've got a legit banana pudding.
Okay.
Michelle forces me to go there once a week just so she can get it.
Hey, I mean, listen, I love me some nanner pudding, man. Can't beat it.
I'm changing my answer.
Okay.
Cheesecake. Any type of cheesecake.
Cheesecake's good.
Cheesecake. I love a good cheesecake.
I like any kind of cheesecake except raspberry. I'm not a big raspberry guy, but everything else.
Okay.
I like just getting that assorted one, like that big circle that just has all the different ones. Cause like there's sometimes where I'm like, you know what? I could deal with this. Or, you know, it's
one
like
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, I'm surprised you didn't go with the fresh pack, whatever Ben and Jerry's that we were frequenting in Providence.
Hey, listen,
I know.
To me, as weird as this is how weird I am. I don't consider ice cream a dessert.
That's a dessert, brother.
I know, but it's like I don't. In this context, I don't consider it a dessert. I consider it more of like a treat, if that makes sense. There's a difference.
Is it a condiment? Like
no,
because you put it on a dessert?
No, it's like I don't know. I consider a dessert like kind of like what else says, like a dish, like something that's got multiple things to it, not just like if someone hands me a cookie, is that a dessert or is that a treat? It's like it's a treat. But if you put cookies with ice cream on top of it, like a cookie ice cream sandwich, suddenly turns into a dessert to me. So but that's just me. Everyone's got their own time. That's why we do this stuff. We hit the hard hitting questions just so we can make sure that everyone understands.
Where do y'all think the best brownie you've ever had? Like, was it, who cooked it? Or was it like obviously, you can have just a little individual one, but like, when someone cooks like the full thing of a brownie, what's the best one y'all had, you think? What's
weird is there used to be a place in Fayetteville called El Chico. And it was a Mexican restaurant, and they had a dessert where it was an iron skillet brownie, and it had like mixture of not only just like chocolate but also peanut butter chips in it. Just the best thing ever. So that's just the first one that popped in my mind.
I'm going to tell you the best brownie that I've ever had, and Bob Holt would co-sign this 1,000%. And you guys may have had it before, I don't know, but the hospitality room at the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for that Crimson and Cardinals stupid classic that they did between the Razorbacks and Sooners, would look forward to that brownie often. In fact, I'm going to text Scotty about it in a minute, and he'll remember for sure. But Bob Holt's the one that turned me on that. The first time we went down there, he was like, "Oh, you really got to get one of these brownies." And I did. And then I went back and I was looking forward to it for the next year and the next year, and they kept bringing them out. Legit brownies.
Okay. I have to remember that. I don't think I ever had those. I don't think I was ever a member of the media going there, to be honest. If I was, I don't remember it. But that's a shame. I missed out on that, though. It's a shame. Okay. And finally, because again, I know we'll get to chats, but just for the entertainment side of things too, is like, what movie / show has moved you to tears in your life? And maybe I should have said most recently, because there's probably multiple, if there is multiple, but has there been a show or a TV show or a movie? I'm not saying you're just like with the waterworks and you're just boohooing, but it hits you in your feels and you're like, yeah, that's the good stuff. So any of them come to mind?
Yeah, when we were on that flight to San Francisco and I watched that Wild Robot movie, I put on a brave face in front of the lads, but I was pretty close to move to tears.
I respect that. Wally made me cry. So
I would say about every other year on average. Like every 20 months, I would say a movie catches me. You catch me on the wrong day, yeah, I'm just in a weird mood and I watch the wrong movie, I can get a little choked up.
Yeah. like, for some reason, to me, it was like the Lion King when I was a kid always did that for when like his dad comes back, like Mufasa comes back, and you got James Earl Jones talking to me. Like that was always something. But I don't know. As crazy as it is, and I'm not kidding about this, guys, the first time, and maybe even the second time, and maybe also the third time, but Top Gun Maverick at the end got me in my feels. Because when they're all celebrating, spoiler alert, but when they're all celebrating and Tom Cruise goes, "Thank you for saving my life," and Rooster goes, "It's what my dad would have done." I'm like, oh, goose. So anyways, that was one of the ones that popped up to me. I don't think I've ever gotten, as weird as this, I don't think I've ever gotten emotional over a show. It's always been movies for me. I don't think there's a show that I've ever gotten emotional on. But
You've never gotten emotional watching The Office before?
Okay, maybe when Michael Scott and Jim were together at the final time, maybe, but that'd be it.
Andrew, did you cry at Wicked?
No, I didn't cry at Wicked. I did enjoy Wicked, but it definitely wasn't like that level of,
I assume John hasn't watched yet, so
I have no desire to watch Wicked. I didn't even like The Wizard of Oz in the first place. Like, it's the most overrated crap of all time. Like, the only reason everyone likes it is because it was like one of the first movies in color or whatever it was.
It's like the first time we found out we could put blue on film. We're like, wow.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, just a masterpiece. And I'm like, no, it's like it's terrible. It's like so overrated. So, and it's a hot take for my day today. All right. Oh man. Okay. So
soy boys over here, man.
I'll tell you. We got let's see a few chats we'll get to before we close up shop here. Let's see. Our guy Quinn, just for a super chat, appreciate you. Quinn goes, just my outside perspective, Remy has been set up to fail. The big time boosters need to get the 100-year check out. Auburn's big timers wouldn't put up with an AD this incompetent. Okay.
I will say, and I'm not saying that I know this for sure, that Remy's in over his head, but I would understand how he could be. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean he's not equipped to handle it or that he this won't wind up being a great hire or whatever, but just given all the circumstances and, like no predecessor or nothing to go off, and you just get thrown into this and you're like, oh, here we go. So it might take a little while for that man to settle in. Like I talk about being put in a position to succeed. He's only in control of so many factors here. I will say for sure.
He wakes up every day with like a little board that's like, control what you can control. Tell the truth. He's like, just do your job and we'll see. But I have a hard time disagreeing with Quinn's assessment.
Yep. And he also gave a super chat, says, if you think most of these 18 or 19-year-olds are picking their own representation, get real, Curtis. It's their family picking. Same difference.
Okay. I mean, I'm not sure what the point is you're trying to make there.
People will help them make decisions, but
yeah, and even if they do, then then their family should know even more. Like that, it should be even more so the family should know.
It's like that's a larger indictment on an issue that doesn't involve the kid. Then,
exactly. Let's see. Let's say we got Trey. Just wanted to let you know that he's at Canes right now, enjoying some non-plastic tendies.
Good for you. I've been very disappointed in the amount of shade that's been thrown at Raising Canes in recent months. I just don't think it's warranted. I don't think it's fair. If you're a slim snob, be a slim snob. That's fine. It's okay. But the shade thrown at Raising Canes, it's ridiculous to me.
I'm with you where it's like, it doesn't need to be your favorite chicken place, but people talk about it like they're like, oh, how could you eat it? It's like, what do you mean? How could I eat it?
Right.
It's a B- meal every night. It's like,
exactly.
You can go and find something better, but like, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't.
If you go into a place that's got 4 items on the menu, like you have to have reasonable expectations for what you're getting. That's all.
And my thing is like usually restaurants like that, if they've been in a certain location for this amount of time, it probably means they're pretty good and probably means they have enough business to stay open. Because we were talking about that the other day, not throwing shade at this place, but like that KFC on MLK has been there since I can remember. And I can't remember the last time I've been to KFC, but it's still there. Still going strong, apparently. Still good enough to stay open. So whatever they're doing, I guess it's working. But somebody's eating there. Somebody's enjoying it. And somebody prefers that over the other chicken places, apparently. Let's see. Also, this comes from Aiden. I'm having trouble with these usernames. Remy is going to keep kids from sitting out of practice and asking for more NIL. That's what he was saying. Yeah,
that is going to be a part of his job is like Sam, that was one of the things Sam Pittman cited. Go talk to Remy. don't talk to me about you're unhappy. Go talk to Remy. Maybe that'll help.
Let's see. Also, John Sullivan says it's also kind of hard to come down on Remy when he's probably told a lot of things he couldn't say, more so than he couldn't answer, which is also probably true.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah.
We spoke on that yesterday too, going into it, of would he come across as like kind of scripted and coached up on what he couldn't say, or would it come across as super authentic? I think there was a kind of a mixture of both there, but yeah, I mean, the man definitely had his talking points, or he was at least told, hey, you're going to be asked about this and we're going to need you to not talk about it, or we're going to need you to not say this. So that's part of it,
Yep. Let's see. Bo wants to know, do y'all know if Talon has been doing good at the Manning camp?
So my understanding is that he's a counselor at the camp. Like the Manning camp is for kids, and they bring in college quarterbacks to, help run the camp, and they're like kind of the leadership council there. All you got to do is not do the Johnny Manziel thing and get drunk and hungover and don't show up. So I think Talon Green, he's an adult. I think he's probably representing the U of A well, but there's not like a ton of rigorous obstacles for him to bounce over. And by the way, I don't have sources. I have no doubt that Talon Green is probably doing very well in that setting. Everything we know about Talon Green is like he's a very good, talking, being a leader, all this stuff. Like he's good in these settings, so I bet he's crushing it. But he's basically just got 4 kids that he tells them which net to throw at, and that's what he's doing.
Also, too, not to have a humble brag, but our guy Chris Gordy from Locked On SEC, he's over there covering it. He just sent a picture to me. He says hello, neighbors, and apparently it's Talon Green saying hello. So I was like, hey, shout out to you, Talon Green, for saying hello. Hello back. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Also,
we didn't give you the Diego Pavia treatment. You guys see that with Josh Pate?
That was crazy, dude.
We might have talked about it even, but yeah, like that was hilarious. You didn't get that. That should make you feel good, John.
Yeah, because it was
John Neighbors.
Yeah, well, let's say if he gave that, it'd almost be more understanding. But yeah, Diego going out there with Josh Pate. Who would ever go after Josh Pate for any reason? I can imagine.
I did laugh at Josh Pate's response. A lot of dry wit there that it resonated with me. It was pretty good. So.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Kay just wants to know why Curtis looks like an absolute animal this afternoon.
People are talking, man. I don't know.
We're tweaking right off the bat.
It's Friday. It's been a long week of graft.
Yes, as it has.
Gotta get to that point.
Jeez. Caden also says, y'all should do a reaction video to the Chad Morris era. I'd rather die. Also, I don't know what the crap this is. Like, Paddlefish is saying, John, would you sacrifice your $5,000 bag of luggage to have Kirby as head coach for the next 10 years? Yes.
Yeah, dude, that's nothing. $5,000 if you're going to win three or four national titles. Come on.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Kirby.
And I don't know why anybody would not answer that question, but also, Sweet Arkansas Gal said, could y'all just take some time on your personal programs this summer to tell us how you got here, what you dreamed of being growing up, favorite foods, etc., just to give us a chance to say driving through.
We should do that this summer on this show.
Yeah, I mean, kind of do it a little bit anyways with our summer topics. So, but yeah, we can make that happen.
Yeah. You got to pull up at the members only streams. We're gonna reveal so many secrets and be chatting shit and talking gossip and revealing all the U of A's dirty secrets on those members only streams. So if you're a member and you see a members only stream pop up, hop in it. Yep,
that's going to be happening soon. So you better be a member if you want to get all the juicy deets that we're going to be revealing to the world. Only if you're a member. So, all right, well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the weekend?
Oh man, y'all have yourselves a merry little weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Get out of the house, touch grass, do some things. We'll see you Monday.
Well, go Hogs.
Oh, that's needed. The only final thought I have is, just real quick. 2 years ago, we lost Ryan Mallett today, and still hits me hard every single time. And I saw some post about it, but still crazy. Still can't believe he's gone. But hey, greatest quarterback to ever play at Arkansas. He's definitely very much missed. And the fact that it's 2-year anniversary of his passing is just is rough. But either way, Just wanted to give him a shout out and say we miss him. But either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in to Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. You can also check out our podcast in the audio form wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. And also follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis, well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel next Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you then.